Start Over Strong, Life After a DUI, a podcast for people, not offenders. Brought to you by Smart Start, the nation's most trusted, judgment-free ignition interlock provider. Hello and welcome to your favorite podcast. I am Morgan Ryan and this is Stigma-Free IID, Life After a DUI, brought to you by Smart Start. Today I'm very excited to have a tough conversation and a much needed conversation around judges and the truth about judges in your case. Today I am very excited to have with me Steve Luce, an expert that has been on the show quite a few times. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Steve, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do at Smart Start?
I am the Vice President of Field Sales, so I run the field sales team on a national level, and my team interacts with courts and judges and prosecutors and defense attorneys as influencers to represent our product.
I love that, Steve. I love what your team does. I want to get right into the episode today and talk about judges. And my goal is to find out the answers. I want to know how we can win hearts and minds for those that are going through a situation like a DUI. Is it true that judges are cold and out to punish people with DUIs?
No, I look at it as judges are people too. When you get to know a judge, definitely when they're on their stand, they're intimidating. And I think that's the role they play, right? They're in charge of the courtroom. They know the laws and they're there to bring the proceedings to an end or listen to the process and make judgments on that. In
reality, judges care deeply about people and they care deeply about helping people. Is that true?
Most definitely. And I don't think there's a judge that would be on the stand if they didn't have that, in their heart.
Yeah. How closely have you worked with judges in the past?
I'm friends with judges. I've been to their houses.
You're friends with judges?
Yeah.
You've been to judges' houses, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Yes.
This is exciting to me. Mm-hmm. It's difficult for me to visualize a judge outside of, that black robe.
One judge, we would go to his house on Sundays and play flag football because he had a farm. So we would have defense attorneys, troopers, judges, prosecutors. He raised chickens, and so we got to know his kids, and he had 60 chickens. So we would go out and, look at the chicken farm and play football and have a good Sunday afternoon.
Okay, so now I'm getting the human element.
Yes,
I'm starting
definitely.
to feel the human element. Okay. So you've worked pretty closely with judges before. You've known judges outside of the judicial system, so to speak. Why do you think it is important for people to see judges as partners in accountability rather than as enemies?
Because they look at all aspects of your case, right? They're keeping both sides of the fence. When I say both sides, it's the defense and the prosecutors, because there's the client side and there's the prosecution side, and they're looking at both sides of that to bring justice to whatever happened, whether the defense is correct or the prosecution is correct. They're looking at all aspects of that to get to the end, to the best ending for the client or the prosecution side. But they're the truth. They're listening to everything. They're the third party. They're the monitor. They're all those things to bring this to a resolution. And
yes. And judges have seen it all. They have seen it all. And I love this sentence here. What stands out isn't a perfect record. What stands out is genuine effort and accountability.
Yes.
With judges. Okay. There's that word again, accountability. Accountability, accountability, accountability. That is what a judge is looking for. If you want to win the heart and mind of a judge, you need to take accountability. How do people take accountability, Steve?
Well, I think a lot of people, when they go into a courtroom, it's maybe their first time. It's scary. You have a judge that's there. That judge can put you in jail. But again, being honest, I've mentioned this before, is being honest of what happened. They've heard it all. And so they get lied to just like a police officer does.
Do they know when you're lying?
They most definitely know. I can give you a small scenario of where that happened and what happens after the fact. I was in court as a trooper. An individual came up and he had a DUI and he was driving while revoked. The judge asked him, "Did you drive here today?" He clearly said no. He goes, "You understand that if you did drive here today, you're going to go to jail." He said, "I did not drive here." Long story short, as soon as the person walked out of the doorway, he told me to follow him. So Trooper Luce, follow this individual. And so I followed him. Within 4 minutes, I had arrested him for driving out for the courtroom, brought it back in front of the judge, and he went to jail for 6 months from the jail. from the courtroom.
So they know when you're not telling the truth.
Correct.
They like when you take accountability.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell the truth and be accountable for your actions. One of the things I love about these situations with Smart Start, they're little, I like to equate it to Mario Brothers, okay? These are the mushrooms that you see along the path, and they explode into greatness. If you are told or you're going to need an ignition interlock device, but you have 6 months or 3 months or 90 days until you need to get it installed, is it true that a judge likes it if you take accountability up front and go ahead and voluntarily install in advance to show good behavior?
That's definitely, I would call it a tactic, but good behavior, definitely. Because what are you doing if you put it in early or you're being monitored for alcohol? You're showing that a lot of defense attorneys will do this to say, hey, my client just had a bad night. It was a bad episode. And what that does is it shows them that you don't have an alcohol problem, that you can refrain from drinking, that you haven't had violations on there. So it's definitely a preemptive way to go in and say, hey, look, I just screwed up. And here I am. I'm proving that to you. And I took those extra efforts. Anything you can do when you go in front of a judge that says, hey, I messed up, I made a mistake, but I'm working towards, proving that I'm a good person. I want to get through this.
Yeah, that you want to remedy the mistake. Yeah. And what I love about Smart Start is our program advisors, they are there for you. You can call them for free advice. You can ask them questions about your local jurisdiction and where you got your DUI, and they can help you through that. And they will help you determine if an early install, so to speak, is right for you. In many cases, it sounds like it is, because again, a judge is looking for accountability and someone that's going to take responsibility for their actions.
Right.
I love that. How does responsibility show up in a courtroom setting?
I think it's all a persona when you come in. And one thing to realize when you go into a courtroom, especially a criminal courtroom, the judge, the prosecutor, the defense attorney, the officer, most of the time, they've all been in court together previously. And so they all kind of know who each other are, at least by name. They know how each individuals work. And taking responsibility when you go in, you want to get towards justice, whatever that may be. That's the ultimate goal. But taking responsibility for your actions, being honest in front of the judge, if you've taken actions to prevent this, honesty is, I would say, the biggest thing when you step in front of a judge, when you go into that courtroom, and just be open with them.
Yeah, and not shifting blame. In my personal experience, shifting blame is never a good thing. It immediately almost triggers the judge. So allowing the blame where blame is due to kind of come out naturally, especially if there's another party involved or another situation involved. And I'm wondering, in terms of just going back to the voluntary installing early for someone that wants to show that they're taking responsibility, have you seen any cases where someone did voluntarily install an ignition interlock device, or maybe started classes early, and how that did impact the judge in a positive way?
Multiple times. Several of the attorneys that I've worked with in the past will do that, especially they want to, like I said earlier, they want to show that this client is free, right? They don't have an alcohol problem. You're going to be asked to have an alcohol assessment, which is going to go before the judge. So you have the alcohol assessment, and then you pair that with, hey, I've been driving for 6 months, or I'm on a portable alcohol monitoring device, showing that's even greater, actually, because it shows, look, I haven't drank in 6 months. Because the trials take a long time, right? And so anything you can bring forward, you could pair with, if you did have an issue and you just come up and say, hi, I realized through this that I had a drinking problem, and this is what I've done to address it. I went through alcohol monitoring. I've started going to AA. I got help. I went to treatment. All those aspects a judge takes in place. Does he have to take, or she have to take, action afterwards to get you there? Or can he see that when you walk in the courtroom that, man, I can really see that this person realized they made a mistake, or they're on a journey and they're trying to correct it, right? They've made that turn. They want to go in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that. There's a note here from Reddit: taking proactive steps made such a big difference for me in court. And proactive steps are really important. One thing, interestingly enough, in my own personal experience recently, having been in a trial in a court setting with a judge, before we showed up, I received an actual packet, actually early on in the process, that showed me all about courtroom etiquette, what to do with my body, body, how to show up, so to speak, having a certain attitude and using body language and just really showing effort, listening well, not shaking my head, don't show up with a hot pink Yeti, things like that. I mean, I love my mugs. I love my jewelry, right? I was told, just to come in and be yourself, in your natural state as, in my circumstances, a great mom. And so the little things judges notice as well, and they're paying attention to those body cues and that body language. How important is your attitude?
Yeah, I think you step back and you look at a courthouse, right? What is it? It's majestic. It represents something. And then as you walk into the courtroom, the judge sits up usually higher than everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones that are making the decisions. So you have to engulf the atmosphere when you walk in. Look, be respectful, dress properly when you come in. Even if you have a strong case, be respectful of that, right? And sit. Humility in the situation.
Humble.
Most definitely sit with your attorney, listen to what's going on, listen to the prosecution's case. You don't have to shake your head or say anything, because that is a little bit disrespectful. A lot of times what you'll see is, have a pad of paper and write down your comments and then slide it over to your attorney nicely, and he can read what you said. And that brings a persona to the judge that, hey, they're involved in this. They're serious about this. They want to get through this. If you sit back and you're kicked back in your chair and you're wearing your T-shirt and your shorts and you're hanging out, the respectfulness isn't there. Respect the situation.
Respect the situation, take accountability, be proactive, show up with a good attitude, dress the part, show up well, shift almost to an attitude of gratitude, right? Which is a very difficult thing to do. But if we're really, truly taking accountability, it's easy to be grateful in that moment. And I encourage all of us out there to really, really take that to heart, really in every situation they have. So it sounds like judges notice everything. They notice everything. Be sincere, have a good tone, and know that the judge is paying attention to the small things.
Definitely, even support, right? If you come in, have a few supportive people there, whether it's family members or friends, so he can or she can see that you have support system, right? If you come in, I think that also makes an impact. You have people that care for you. They're going to help you through this process. They're there to support you. That does make a difference.
Yeah. What other advice would you give someone who might be nervous about going to their court appearance?
You're always going to be nervous. I think that we covered most of those things, but just be yourself, and know that you're going to get through the process. The people that are around you have been through this process before, and they're going to help you through that walk. Understanding, like I said earlier, the judge is a person too, and the people that are with you are people too. Even the police officer is a person too, and you'll get through it. And the results may not be what you want, but you're gonna live another day, and you're gonna continue on. It's a life lesson, and step out and keep living your life.
Thank you, Steve. Such great, wise advice. One thing that is important to me too, judges believe, I don't like the terminology second chances, because for many out there, it takes more than 2 times. So I like to say life after mistakes, right? Life after mistakes, however many times it takes you, it takes some of us a while. But judges believe in a new start, and they believe in success stories.
They do.
Okay. And I think that judges really genuinely want to see people succeed. Do you believe that?
Yes. And there's some judges that do specialty courts, and what specialty courts are really concentrate on what you just said, is people that are multiple time offenders that have a history, could be mental health, could be DUIs. And usually to get into a specialty court, you have to have 3 to 4 DUIs, even to step in there. And they're fully involved in those systems, and they know you personally because you're in front of that judge probably on a weekly basis. They get to know who your kids' names are. They get to know where you work. They get to know they know everything about you, but that judge is involved in your life. And the only reason that judge is in that courtroom sitting in that bench, because they want to see you succeed in life and get to the end and get through whatever you're going through, whether it's alcoholism or personal situations or whatever it's causing that. They want to find out what it is, get you the treatment for it, and have you live a fruitful life.
Okay. So be accountable,
Yes.
Be proactive, take control, show up well. That's how you win the heart and mind of a judge. And trusting, I think deep down, that's where it starts. Before you even step in to the courtroom, understanding and believing that your life is not over.
No.
This is not the end of your life. Your life is not over.
Yes.
Having that heart posture that this judge wants me to succeed is where it all begins.
Yes. And, it just popped in my mind. It's like when you were younger and you did something bad, right? And you wanted your parents, and it's like, oh, now it's my parents. And they may ask you a question. They already know the answer. A judge may do the same thing, right? They've already read the case file. They've gone through everything. They may ask you a question. They already know the answer. They want to see how you respond, how you react. Are you going to tell the truth? What are you going to say? So it's a lot like being a kid and going up against your parents, right? There's it carries
Keep your eye out for those traps.
Yes.
But they're good. They're for the good of it.
And it's not I wouldn't say a trap, but he's there. They are looking to who you are. Who are you as a person?
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. So be accountable, take responsibility, be proactive, and know that the judge is for you, not against you.
Correct.
Steve, as always, thank you for joining the show today. Wonderful conversation. The truth about judges.
Awesome.
Thank
Great to be
you.
here. Thank you.
You can get your first 2 payments free with coupon code Stigma free. Just visit www.smartstartinc.com if you or someone you love or know needs an ignition interlock device or a car breathalyzer. You can also call 844-766-0156 to learn more. Thank you so much for joining the show today, all about judges. I am Morgan Ryan. Until next time, stay safe, drive smart.